Hi guys, it's Rebecca. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. Today's video is going to be the saddest monthly wrap up that I've ever done on my channel. June just was not a good month for me reading wise. I'm kind of a little bit in a reading slump, and I just haven't been reading. For the sake of my Goodreads reading challenge, I read a total of 5 books, but really it was maybe like 3. And when I say maybe is because I actually read 2 physical books, and I had purchased a couple of months ago a full year of Audible subscriptions. I got a really good deal. You got all your credits at once, and it was way discounted than if you bought it month to month. And with that purchase, you would get 12 credits, which is 1 credit a month. But you got them all at once. You didn't have to wait month by month. And you got 2 free Audible originals, meaning that technically you're getting 3 credits a month, and it was like $90 or something. It was really cheap. So I went ahead and I purchased that. And when it comes to the Audible originals, what happens is they send you an email with a list of like 6 or 7 books, and you pick 2 out of those. So it's not like you can pick whatever Audible original you want. And I had picked out some in May, but I didn't quite read them or listen to them. And then for June, I didn't really care about the selection that they gave me, the options. So I only got 1. And so I read those 3 I listened to those 3 Audible originals plus these 2 books. So that's where my 5 are coming from. But those Audible originals are really like short stories. They were like 2.5 hours long. So not very long. I don't know if any of those are actual books. One actually read as a podcast, but I'll get into it later. If this is the new reading video that you've seen from me, usually my channel is all makeup and project pans, but I do like to read a lot, so I do incorporate one reading video a month, which is my monthly wrap up. So if you didn't know, I am working on my A to Z reading challenge with another group of project panners here on YouTube who also like to read, and we're trying to read as many books that fit the letter of the alphabet. So as of last update, I had finished 17 letters of the alphabet, and because I only read so little, I only completed 2 more letters. I completed the letter E and the letter T, so I will share with you guys that. So for the letter E, it's for an Audible original called Evil Eye, and there's a picture will be somewhere here. And this is probably my most favorite out of the 3 Audible originals that I listened to. It was the shortest one. It was like a little bit under 2 hours, but it was so good. It was so creepy. It's about this girl who is, it's an Indian American girl who is getting close to turning 30, and she's still single. So she has a meddling mother who's trying to set her up because, you know, that's like the worst thing that could happen to her, to be single at age 30. And so she keeps trying to set her up, and eventually sets her up with a date that she agrees to, but the date doesn't quite work out because she ends up meeting another guy while she's waiting for her date. And then a bunch of creepy things happen from there on. This book was too short. I wish it was longer. Because it left me wanting more. It definitely creeped me out. I was listening to it at night while I was getting ready to go to bed. I was just kind of like laying in bed listening to this, but I had to turn it off because I was really getting creeped out, and I finished it the next morning. But yeah, I really liked it. 5 out of 5 stars. If you guys have Audible, I would suggest you guys listen to that because it's really short, but it's really good. And the second letter that I finished was for the book Towering, which I do have. This is from Alex Flynn, and this is a retelling of Rapunzel. I have read Beastly and A Kiss in Time from Alex Flynn, Beastly being a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, and A Kiss in Time being a retelling of Sleeping Beauty. So both of those I loved. I liked this one not quite as much as I liked the other 2, but this one was still really good. Super cheesy. It's kind of like a young adult book. Super cheesy, but it was really easy to read, and it was very small, so I got through this really fast. I really enjoyed it, and I would recommend it. Then I am also trying to complete my Pop Sugar reading challenge, and that is a list of, I think it's 50 or 55 prompts that you're supposed to complete. I only completed 1, and that was for the Audible original The Dead Drink First, and that was for the prompt of a reading something published in 2019. So that was an original from Audible from June 4th of 2019, so it fit the category. And that one, I don't know if it kind of felt like a podcast. It had like a full cast, and it was interesting. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars because I finished it. But this was about survivors from World War II, and kind of like it didn't talk about their experience during the war. It kind of like the aftermath, how being in the war affected them, people dealing with PTSD, disease, not just the soldiers themselves dealing with PTSD, but how the families were affected as well. It was, some parts were interesting, some parts were really depressing. I just didn't feel engaged at all. And some of the parts were a little bit of kind of like interviews with these soldiers from World War II. And so they're very elderly. And some people had like really, really thick Southern accents. And it sounded like they were just mumbling. So some parts I didn't quite understand what they were saying. And I think that's when I kind of tuned out a little bit in the parts where I didn't quite understand what the people were saying. I mean, I gave it 3 out of 5 stars because there were some parts that I did find interesting. I love the whole World War II era, but I didn't feel engaged, and I thought I would care more about what these people went through. It sounds so bad that I didn't care, but it's not that I didn't care. It's just, I don't know, I just didn't find it as engaging as I wished that I would. But I don't know, I had bigger expectations because on Goodreads it has a 4.25 out of 5 stars rating. So I was like, this is gonna be really good, and I was kind of like let down. So that's why I'm giving it 3 stars. And the last 2 books, one is a physical book, the other one's another Audible original that I finished. One is the one that I have here, and it's called Entwined by Heather Dixon. This is supposed to be a retelling of the 12 Dancing Princesses, which I have never read. I had never even heard of it until I started reading this book. But this is about kind of like, it's definitely, this was like the month of fairy tales. Because I read the other one too, but this is very, very fairy tale like. I give it 3 out of 5 stars again because I feel like this was, if I was younger, I think I would have enjoyed, if I was, and by younger I mean like a teenager, maybe early 20s, I think I would have enjoyed this a lot more because it's very, very fairy tale like. It's about these princesses whose mom dies, and the whole like kingdom / village goes on mourning for a whole year, and they're not supposed to do anything fun that they enjoy, like singing, dancing, going to balls, all that stuff. And of course it's a retelling of the 12 dancing princesses, so they do like to dance apparently. And so they have to kind of like go dancing undercover, not undercover, but like behind the king's back, because it's frowned upon. They're supposed to be mourning for their mom. And so they get the help from this guy called the Keeper, who is the bad guy, let's just say. And there's a little bit of romance in here. There's quite a bit of suspense, I will give it that. But of course, it's a fairy tale. Everything wraps up at the end with a nice bow. I liked it. Like I said, I gave it 3 stars. But maybe if I was younger, I would have liked it a little bit better. And the last thing that I read or listened to was the Audible original for The Mystery of Alice. And this book reminded me a lot at the beginning. It reminded me a lot of the Mysterious Benedict Society. I don't know if you guys have read those books. I really, really enjoyed those books. They're like middle grade or children's books. Could they be middle grade? Maybe they're just children's books, but they're really, really good. Very engaging. And at the beginning, it kind of felt like that. It's this girl who is very smart, and she gets an audition to go apply for this really, really cool school. And she goes and applies for a scholarship. And the test is to try to escape out of this room, which she does because she's very smart. She does go to this college, and it turns out that it's just a bunch of, well, is this a spoiler? Let's just say that things are not the way they seem. And she discovers this, of course, towards the end of the book, one of her peers goes missing, and so she tries to find her peer, and that's when she finds out all these other things that are going on. This book was very unrealistic for me, even though the Mysterious Benedict Society is very unrealistic as well. But the characters in this story are supposed to be like in 6th, 7th grade, but I forgot they were in 6th, 7th grade. I thought these kids were like teenagers, 17, 18 years old, because these kids have all this money, all these connections. They're like, if maybe because they're geniuses, they can do all these things. But I kept forgetting how young they were. Again, there's something, God, maybe I'm just too old now, and that is where this kids nowadays, maybe they are able to do all these things and pull all these things off. But I'm just thinking of like when I was in 6th and 7th grade, like none of this was possible. Of course, there are a bunch of rich kids whose parents send them off to boarding school and kind of forget about them. They're those types of kids, but still, I think they were too young to do everything that they did. The ending, the climax was very unsatisfying. It wasn't like exciting at all. It didn't have a good payoff at the end. I don't know, I just wasn't too impressed. So I think I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. 3 if I was being generous. I don't quite remember, but yeah, I was kind of disappointed. So as you guys can see, I was in a reading slump, and I didn't read anything that really excited me aside from Evil Eye, which was only like 2 hours, and then that got taken away from me. But hopefully for July I will do a lot better. According to my Goodreads challenge, because I read so little, I'm 3 books behind on my reading goal of 100 books. So I'm gonna be reading smaller books for July to try to catch up. That way I can read a little bit more. But that's it, guys, for my reading wrap up for June. If you guys have anything good, give me suggestions in the comments, because I just want to get out of this reading slump. I've been watching a lot of Stars because I started watching The White Prince, the White Queen, The White Princess, and the Spanish Princess, which are series based off of Philippa Gregory's books, which if you guys have watched my channel, you guys know that I love her. So maybe that's why I was in a kind of reading slump, because I've been binge watching those series. But I don't know, I want to get back into reading. I have a lot of books that need to get read, so that's where we're at. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you on my next video.